Hi, everyone. I'm so glad that you're with me today. Today was a really special interview. I feel like I say that a lot because all of the interviewees that we have are very, very special. But today's particular episode is extra special because the two folks that I just interviewed, Log and Mia, are from Iceland. They are sex worker activists from Iceland, which a lot of you don't know because I don't talk about this publicly. I used to live in Iceland. I was 4 years old when we moved there and 7 years old when we left. My dad was in the Navy and we got stationed there. And my little sister was actually born in Iceland. And so I spent a lot of time playing outdoors, have a lot of memories of Iceland. And the Iceland that I have memory of is very different from the Iceland that exists now, because in the last decade or so, there has been a massive influx of tourism in Iceland. And we actually talk a little bit about that on this episode, what that tourism did for the Icelandic economy. And we talk about how sometimes the weather can affect sex work. And we also talk about the Swedish model a lot. Now, Iceland has adopted the Swedish model. What is the Swedish model, you may want to know? The Swedish model is actually the Nordic model. It's what people call the Nordic model now. Mia and Log argue that the Swedish model was developed in Sweden and should be called the Swedish model because not all of the Nordic countries recognize nor utilize this law. For example, Denmark, and Denmark would be considered Nordic. And so some of these other Nordic countries and Nordic sex workers are advocating that we use the term Swedish model instead of the Nordic model so that we can all remember what country it was born in, who came up with it. And so that we can not lump in other countries who don't believe in the Nordic model, which we should all be calling the Swedish model. So you're going to hear that come up in the interview. And, we really talked about the dangers and damages that the Swedish model does, not only to sex workers, but also to our clients, which in turn leads to damages towards sex workers. This was just such an eye-opening conversation. Iceland is a very small country. You would think that things wouldn't be as bad, but they are. However, there is a lot of good, and Mia and Log are so inspirational. They are doing incredible work, and they are doing groundbreaking work that it sounds like hasn't really been done there in the realm of advocating and activating around sex work in Iceland specifically. So I'm really excited for you to all learn about what's going on in this country and how you can raise your awareness about our siblings over in Iceland. Give them a listen, give them a follow, and find ways to support them if you can, or share with others who can support. Just get to know what's going on around the globe, because we are dealing with shit everywhere. And it's a big reason why we should embrace each other and find ways to unify so we can fight this good fight together. Love you all so much. Let's pop on over to see Mia and Log and chat with them. Thank you. This is our podcast, all of ours. On YAS, a Stripper podcast, we celebrate the stories of sex workers around the world. We inform, we share vulnerably, we learn from each other. No matter who you are, there is an opportunity to learn, laugh, cry, and grow, as sex workers are some of the most incredible people on the planet, and their stories are what the world is obsessed with. Hi, everyone. This is AMD here, back with another incredible episode of YAS, a Stripper podcast. We have some amazing international guests today, but as usual, before we get to them, just a little public announcement that we just absolutely love your money, and we would love if you donate to us, because that is what helps pay for the hosts and the producers of this show to keep it going. So you can send your hard-earned money to paypal.me/yes, a stripper podcast. And I promise your money will go towards a great cause, which is to pay sex workers for their work. So thank you in advance. Moving on to our guests. Today we have Logn and Mia. Hello, you two. How are you?
Hi.
Hi.
Yeah.
Awesome. It's so lovely to have you here today. Before we get started, because I don't want to give it away too soon where you all are from yet. So before we get into it, Logn and Mia, can you please tell us what your pronouns are?
Yes, my pronouns are she, her.
And mine is they, them.
Awesome. So Mia is she, her, and Logn is they, them, for those of you who are listening and not watching the YouTube videos. Okay, where are you all calling in from today?
Reykjavik, Iceland.
Nice.
Yes.
Very cool. Yeah, so just to give the audience a little context, Logn, you had reached out to us on Instagram. You had mentioned that you were a sex worker activist in Iceland, and it just so happens I used to live in Iceland as a small child. My father was in the Navy. We lived in Iceland for 3 years on the naval base of Keflavik, which, like, how far away is that for you guys?
It's like 40 minutes.
Oh, really?
45.
Yeah.
Cool. Yeah, I don't remember much about driving. I think I was like 4 when I moved there and 7 when I left. So I don't remember too much, but I can tell you I remember the snow. How is that going?
Yes. Last winter was very rough.
Was it really?
I don't know how many times I got stuck in the parking lot when I was trying to exit.
Really? Is it like more snow than normal?
No.
Okay.
No, it's just regular. There's this Icelandic thing with we forget every year how bad the winter is. Because we're so excited about the summer, and then we're really excited about the summer, and then it's winter again, and we're like, oh shit.
And yeah, I think I kind of remember the same thing. I just have memory of like blizzards, constant blizzards. Yeah.
Definitely.
Yeah. So you all are doing sex work activism in Iceland, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. Can you give us like a synopsis of what you're up to? What's going on out there? Can you just break it down for us?
Yes. So I think mainly we've been very active on social media with Instagram. We've been a little bit on Twitter, and we also have a Facebook page where we just kind of try to educate people about sex work and about like how all kinds of people do it, and kind of dismantling all this stigma around it.
Because basically, so until we started, there was no one talking about sex work.
Really?
There was the occasional interview with like a prostitute,
right?
And it was like, she was facing the back to the camera, and everything was black, and her voice was changed.
Okay.
Like that's what we were working with before we started.
Right.
So there was a lot of work to do, and there still is a lot of work to do in destigmatizing. Basically, like, there's never been a face in Iceland, so we've kind of become the face.
Really?
And because in Iceland it seems to work, like we're a really small community. We have 360,000 people in the whole country.
Okay.
And of that, I think like 30 or 40,000 are immigrants. So
okay.
So yeah, it's a very small place, and due to that, just people haven't spoken out, because in the eyes of society in Iceland, it's like sex work goes hand in hand with drugs, and if you're a drug addict in Iceland, you're like not very well set in the community, in the order of hierarchy.
Okay.
And so basically, yeah, we've been doing a lot of just like, hi, we're people.
Yeah.
And it's been going really well.
Really?
Yeah.
Well, that's good to know.
Yeah, I know.
Okay.
We weren't expecting this.
Well, that's actually one of my questions for you is what are some wins that you've experienced doing the work that you're doing out there?
Yeah, my first thought is like when we were invited to a panel discussion for a sexologist, and it was like sexologists from all around the Nordic countries coming together in this conference. And it was like a few-day conference, and a sexologist here invited us to be in this panel discussion about sex work. And we were encouraging also other sexologists to give like sort of free classes and etc. to sex workers in their country, and also look up like Red Umbrella organizations in their countries and look for the kind of human rights fight that is going on there.
Yeah.
We had a wild experience at this conference, to kind of derail a little bit. We had this wild experience where this guy came up to us, like he's some Norway, like from some guy from Norway who was involved in politics, and he was like, I didn't know sex workers could like talk, and you know so much things. And we were just like, yeah. Yeah.
Wow.
Genuinely surprised to hear sex workers just talking
and making sense, you know, and like talking about policy. He was just like, you know.
And who was this guy again?
Oh, he was some like politician / sexologist from Norway.
Yeah.
Okay, so he's also a sexologist and thinks that people who like do sex for a living can't speak, even though he himself is a sexologist.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's
yeah,
so
it was
bizarre.
weird. We were just looking at each other like, what the hell?
Yeah, that's really bizarre. Wow. Well, that is very cool. And like, what has been the media response to your work out there?
Really positive.
Yeah, I feel like a lot of OnlyFans creators especially have gotten a lot of media coverage, and so it's been kind of it's opened a wide discussion.
Yeah, like
on
people.
Sex work.
Yeah, exactly. People on OnlyFans are like, some of them are kind of like celebrity status in Iceland, which is like why I never expected this at all, you know.
Yeah.
Because I mean, we have banned strip clubs, and we have weird old laws about distributing porn in printed material. Like,
okay, I have so many questions. Yeah, I have so many questions
know,
now.
right?
Okay, so they banned strip clubs. When and why and how did that happen?
I think it was 2000 and something.
2000.
I want to say 2015, but I think it's wrong.
Okay.
I think it's more like 2005.
Yeah, like or 2000
or 2010.
I don't know.
Somewhere around there.
All right.
It was just banned. And now we have really weird laws about it, which mean that some clubs can still have dancers, but they have to call them like dancer. Like, it's strange, and they're not allowed to wear heels and some weird bullshit.
So
there's no strip club, and there's no employment of strippers. There's individual like ex-strippers here that have started to perform just like pole dancing, but they like often take this stripper side of them with them into that.
Sure.
And so that's the only way you can kind of perform in a sexual way, but you're still not getting like paid necessarily.
So where do they perform
people
then?
aren't walking in there like they're going to a strip club to tip you a bunch.
Right. So are they performing at like bars or nightclubs or something?
Yeah.
Okay.
You do like perform like this.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. And you don't get paid to be there, and you don't get tipped?
No, not really. Okay. It's a rare occurrence that someone gets tips.
Okay. And you do it because you enjoy it and you want to do it. Is that why you do it?
Yeah.
Okay.
I've always just loved being on stage, and I also love pole dancing now. I used to do ballet for many years.
Yeah.
And so it just kind of comes naturally to me, and I feel like I'm not happy unless I get to go on stage regularly.
Yeah, I understand the feeling very much.
Yeah. So I would do it for free, but like I would love to be paid for this.
Absolutely. Yeah. Would it be illegal for you to like have a show, like make a show? Is that something that would not be legal?
No, like you can have a show.
Okay.
But you can't have private dances. That's an absolute no.
Okay.
Yeah, but like we don't have like a strip club necessarily to like not a strip club environment to have shows in.
Right. Like you don't have a place where there's like a stage and you could put up a pole and like
it's more just like bars. You have to perform at bars or something, and then you can bring your pole with you.
Got it. Okay.
Yeah. And you have to pay like, you know, the lighting technician and, you know, all of that stuff as well.
And you have
if you're performing there.
Right. And then, but you don't get paid. So then you're like paying. Interesting. Okay.
Yeah. But they sell tickets to the show.
Okay.
And then they take a percentage of that.
Okay.
But like with a dance group that I'm performing with, we just pay monthly for like the rent, to make the rent of the studio that we have.
Okay.
And then everything that we make extra in shows goes into that, or it goes into buying new poles and stuff for our studio.
Gotcha. Log, were you going to say something?
Yeah, I was just going to say, it's so funny how the law is like, you can't have a strip club, but you can put on a show if you pay everyone to do it. Like,
and don't get paid for it.
And don't get paid
yeah.
That's fine.
Yeah. So it's almost like they're outlining you being able to make money off of doing what you choose to do with your body.
Yes. Definitely.
So I don't like that. I don't like it. Okay, I have more questions. So the pornography thing. So printed pornography, illegal or bad?
Yeah, or like, you know, it depends if the police want to go and deal with it. Like,
so like technically we have this law that is like production and redistribution of porn in print is illegal.
Okay.
There was a whole thing for a while with the police being like, oh, we don't know if we're gonna go for the OnlyFans people, you know, because they could like how they
how they see it.
How they see the law is what's important, not like what the law says. So if they could find a way to make it appropriate for OnlyFans, but they never did. You know, it seems to be just like a sort of looming threat, though.
Okay.
They might go after the OnlyFans people, but the thing is, like, a lot of sex workers just aren't allowed to pay taxes, even if they want to. So they would want to go after the takings for being like illegal takings. You're not paying the taxes, but the ones that want to pay tax is like, the tax technically doesn't want to take your money, kind of.
Got it. So I'm kind of confused. I did a tiny bit of research. I've noticed that it looks like Iceland has adopted the Nordic model. Is that true?
Yeah, we like to be specific and call it the Swedish model because there are some countries like Denmark who don't have this model, and they're always like, you know, don't like,
they don't want to be lumped in with... Got it. Okay, so it was Sweden, the officials the there model, that developed it. Got it. Yeah. So we should call it the Swedish model. I'm down. Okay.
And also it puts the blame squarely where it should be, which is on Sweden.
That's a really, really good point. So under the Swedish model, how could officials come after OnlyFans if technically sex workers doing sex work has been decriminalized under the Swedish model?
It would be for these like in print laws. It wouldn't be for the Nordic model, like the Swedish model.
Oh, so
it would be under these other laws that are separate.
Because it's not in-person sex work, it's considered a different medium, and therefore there's different regulations around it, basically. Yeah. Okay, so thank you for letting me ask you all these questions, because I'm full of them, and I'm sure, and the more you talk, the more I'm like, wait, what about this? What about that? Okay, so you don't have strip clubs. OnlyFans is precarious. Where do people do their sex work?
This is the thing.
Okay.
Still.
Yeah, I mean, still OnlyFans, but there's just this looming kind of maybe threat that the police will do something about it.
Okay.
But so far they're like, it seems to be like every few months there's like oh, they might do this, you know.
Yeah. Okay.
But also people are just doing it fucking like it out of the way, underground, like
Like
you know,
hotels, people's houses, things like that.
yeah.
Okay.
And I mean hotels, like
Mhm.
you know, but there's this sort of like very, it's not an unspoken rule like in some countries, it's a very spoken rule that if there's a sex work going on in your place, you have to fucking go to the police, you have to, you know, because under the Swedish model, if you're renting an apartment and you're paying with your sex work money, it doesn't matter if you're working at home or not, your landlord is, you know, if the police find out, so, you know, if you were to go to them to say like, hey, violence has happened against me, they can then be like, oh, I see you live there, I'm gonna give your landlord a call, and then you're homeless.
Right.
Because he can be charged for pimping, for accepting your rent money.
Because if the landlord knows under the Swedish model, right, everybody else is criminalized except for the
Yes.
actual sex worker. And this is
But
exactly
the sex worker is criminalized in so many like
different ways.
Yeah, inside, like, or you know, life becomes harder for a sex worker.
Yes.
That's why, like, most of the people that are usually arrested because of this model is sex workers for working together.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Like, clients aren't even the biggest number of those arrested.
Yes.
And then if you do get busted with the client, or like, you know, your client get busted, the police is entitled to take away your money because it's like proof of a crime.
It's evidence.
Like,
yeah,
my head is spinning.
yeah, it's very much like a catch-22 situation.
100%.
And a lot of people, this is why education is so important for us, because a lot of people are like, what? Oh my God, are you sure? We're like, yeah, we've studied this, we're sure.
Okay, so what are you finding that you're having to activate around the most? What are some policy changes you want? Like what types of actions are you finding that are a priority for your community?
Well, I mean, we want to fully decriminalize.
Sure.
And I mean, we believe that this can become a reality,
Okay.
which is really scary.
Yeah.
But really, really, you know, we, you know, I think we could do it.
Okay. I think I
Yes,
believe in
like-
you 100%. I think you can do
Yeah.
it too. I think we can all do it.
Right.
Mia, what were you saying?
Yeah, just like there, I feel like people in Congress are very polarized when it comes to sex work.
Okay.
And it's like, I know one politician, or she used to be a politician. She made this whole Facebook post about how porn should still be banned, and you know, blah blah, because it was all just oppressing women.
Yeah, this is very much the sort of with the older feminists, especially, like younger feminists are very much where we are in terms of like, we own our own bodies, bodily autonomy, we can do what the hell we like. And it's the older feminists that are in like, yeah, in government and in, you know, like well-set positions in society.
Okay.
And they are very against decriminalization. And then you ask like, why? And there's no real answer. It's just legalization is bad. And we're like, yeah, we know legalization is not great.
Yeah, we don't want
like,
that either. Yeah.
We're sort of experiencing this like gaslighting.
Yeah.
A lot with these sort of, I mean, we call them swerves, you know.
Yeah, we call them that too. Yeah.
Yeah. And you know, there's a lot of gaslighting of like them being like, oh, we really care and we want to do what's best, and the Swedish model is what's best.
Right.
And you're like, okay, but I'm here and this is my experience, and they're like, well, you're just privileged. We shouldn't
Okay.
listen to you, you know.
Right.
And then if we don't show our faces or don't show our names, it's like, oh, you're just a pimp pretending to be like.
We've been accused of being pimps so many times.
Okay.
Pimps and clients, we have the pimp lobby and the pimp agenda, and we're just like, we're just workers. Like
Right.
I was a survival sex worker. What the hell?
Yeah. Yeah. So do you have an organization, or is it just you two as individuals? Do you have an organization?
Yeah,
Can we talk about that so people know? Yeah.
Yeah, it's just called the Red Umbrella Iceland.
Or
Red.
Decrim in Icelandic.
Yeah.
We thought it would be like the simplest to, because there's so many organizations called Red Umbrella something. Because it links us all together, and I like that. I like the sense of community that it brings.
Definitely. And how many of you are there? Is it okay to ask questions about the organization?
Oh, yeah, of course.
Okay. How many of you are there? Is there a group of you?
So like there's a lot of people that are like maybe active or not active. Right now there's like 7 of us that are pretty active.
Okay.
But that changes a lot, and
I get that.
a lot of us have like friends that maybe like have this opinion, but they don't want to say it out loud, so they tell it to us, and then we can bring it forward.
Okay.
Because we've kind of, we've become part of these faces of sex work.
Yeah.
And because of the shame and stigma, a lot of people don't want to come forward themselves.
Yeah. Yeah, that's pretty common. That's pretty common. And I totally get that. So what specifically are you focused on? Is it just decriminalization, or are there like current events or like random things that come up? Is there something happening right now?
Okay. So basically, we do quite a lot of things. So we're doing like constant educational stuff on social media. Then occasionally we do like an educational event. So like an organization like one of the groups at the university might hold an event for like equality days or something, and then they invite us to speak to people about like, what is sex work? What do sex workers want? Like all of this stuff. And we've held like a couple of fundraisers like that too, so people can come and like donate some money and learn about sex work, and learn about our rights and stuff.
Yeah, and then we've been on TV and
we went
interviews and stuff to kind of like try to get into the mainstream with the like talk of decriminalization.
Yeah.
And we had this pretty big like TV show that we went on, and it's kind of like just looking into different people's lives.
Okay.
And they like talked about sex work and all that, and interviewed some of our members and us.
Yeah.
And then they also interviewed a rape crisis center here called Stigamot.
They've been known to sex workers for being very accepting if you're very ashamed of having done sex work. So they will accept you, and they will, offer you support and stuff if you feel shame. If you're there like, oh yeah, there was sex work and then there was this thing, they're like, what?
They'll give you a lecture.
Yeah, you get a lecture, and we've known people to like come out of their crying, and feeling more broken than when they entered. When their trauma has nothing to do with sex work a lot of the time.
Right.
Which is very sad for us to hear and experience, because a rape crisis center should be welcoming to sex workers.
No matter what, welcoming to anyone who's been raped, no matter what. Yes, exactly. I agree with you 100%.
But they also made their own study with I think it was only people from Stigamot.
Yeah, people
only their clients, or like only their
people that go to their support group, which is led by a person who has been very open in being very aggressive towards us. And towards sex workers, and talking about how there's no such thing as sex work. It's just like disgusting to say sex work, and all of this stuff.
Is this a man or a woman?
No, this is a
A
woman.
woman.
Yeah.
And this rape crisis center, like, they want harsher criminalization for clients, and they said that on the TV show that we were on as well.
They also said some false things that we already debunked before their part comes on. So we debunked a thing, and then they talk about it later in the show, and it's just like, oh my god, this is so old.
It's so embarrassing for them.
Yeah.
Because yeah, decriminalization doesn't increase the amount of people in sex work, and then there's like studies to back that up.
Yeah.
And the only thing that we get apart from, oh, legalization is bad, when we say decriminalization, is I got the other day, child prostitution has increased in decriminalized countries, and I was like, oh, I'd love to know more about this, and I got nothing. She just wanted to tear us down, you know.
Okay, so so what they're doing is they're like spitting out information without any receipts or actual facts or actual proper research and survey. They're just saying this is what we think.
Yeah, but they don't frame it like this is what we think. They frame it as this is how it is, you know?
Right. Yeah.
And then they'll be like, I know how it is because my friend is a sex worker. Or like, my friend was a prostitute.
A victim of prostitution.
Yeah.
Gotcha. So that's what you're up against. That's a lot.
Yeah.
That's a lot. Yeah, because they probably, and I'm guessing here, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, have some sort of prestige or a reputation for doing very good work, right?
Yeah, and they also have they have their friends in government, you know?
Naturally.
Yeah.
Yeah. I remember one time a friend saying to me, if prostitution were legal, I would do it. And I remember telling her, I was like, that is not a proper thing to say. That is very damaging, very hurtful, and it's untrue. I don't think you would. I think you're just saying that because you think it's cool. And please don't ever say that again, because people don't do it because it's legal or illegal. There's so many reasons why people do it. It has nothing to do with the law. Yeah. So yeah, and it was a very offensive statement. And for anyone to say that is very offensive, because that's not why we choose to do sex work.
Exactly. And also I've had this to me a few times. Yeah. Oh, if it was more legal, if it was safer, I would do it. I'm like, yeah, okay.
I get if it were safer. I get that if it were safer, because it can be dangerous. And that's the unfortunate truth. And it's dangerous because we have people perpetuating misinformation and lies about what we're doing and finding no ways to help protect us. I get that.
Yeah. No, but it's more with the legal, you know.
Got it. If I were safer legally.
Yeah.
Okay, got it.
Yeah.
Yikes. Oh my gosh.
But I mean, we've had some other wins. Sorry, going back to your first question.
Please share those. Yes.
I think the sort of the public, we've had some wins with just the public, the perception. We've worked really hard with other sex workers to try to change this perception of sex work, because in Iceland it's always linked to there. Before we started speaking up, the common thread was all sex workers are damaged, all sex workers have had child abuse happen to them, that's why they're sex workers. They're all broken people, you can't trust what they say because they're so traumatized. These were the things that were the leading, you know, and that the Swedish model is good because it protects the poor women, you know. That was the societal view, and I think that's changed a lot now.
Yeah. I've had people message me and be like, thank you for talking about this, because I'm starting to understand this better now.
Yeah, we get a lot of those messages, and they feel really good, you know, because that feels like the destigmatization work that we're doing is working. Yeah. It means that maybe people can be more open about the fact that they're doing sex work with their families, because a really big thing in Iceland because we're so small, and once someone knows something, everyone knows something.
Yeah,
So
so
a lot of sex workers just keep the information to themselves and never tell anyone, not even their best friend.
So
and that's a problem. Like, that's why we wanted to start Red Umbrella, because we wanted a community.
So they could talk to somebody,
Yeah, because when I first came to Iceland in 2016 after living abroad, I tried to contact a worker, and she was way too scared. We engaged a little bit, but as soon as I said like we should meet up, she just ghosted.
Okay.
Because there's so much stress about, like, what if it's the police? What if it's someone in your family? Like,
so is that a thing? Do people catfish sex workers to like catch them?
Okay, so
or do we not?
They don't catfish sex workers to get them, but there has been a case of catfishing clients.
Okay.
Some very cool feminists did that a few years ago. So and what that did, because they like got this guy and he came to this location, and then they called the police on him and like didn't let him leave, and that just made it unsafer for sex workers who are doing work, because all the clients have heard about this in the news, and they're gonna be like, oh, like, fuck, what if this, so they're gonna be more cagey, and they're not gonna give you maybe the information that they would have given you otherwise.
Yeah, because
like actively dangerous.
Right, because that particular client was just trying to find some consensual sex work.
Yes.
Right. And so now, okay. I don't like the Swedish model. We have to let the Swedes know that we don't like it. I'm just blown away by so much of what you're telling me. I think one of the questions that I have been having is the landscape of your country, right? So you're in Reykjavik, which is the capital of Iceland, right? It's the capital. Got it. And how many other cities are there? Are there, like, is the main population in Reykjavik?
Yes.
Okay. Is there another city?
There's no other city, but there's a lot of towns.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
And sex work is happening probably in most of them.
Okay, so it's happening all over.
Yeah, I think so. Maybe maybe
not always like in-person sex work, but definitely OnlyFans creators all around the country.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
There's one girl that is my friend, and she's a farmer.
Yeah.
Okay.
So yeah.
Why not?
Yeah, and we have a cool like coworker, like ex-coworker and activist in Akureyri, and like there's sex workers in Akureyri, which is like the next biggest town, I think.
Probably.
Yeah.
Okay. And then what's your diversity like in your community? Is it all very white female, or are there men? Are there trans people of color?
There are trans people.
Okay.
There's a couple of men.
Yeah, but it's mostly like white females.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
But and your population is most, because a lot of people that live in Iceland are pretty native to that land, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, there's like 30,000 to maybe 40,000 immigrants or migrants.
Okay. Where do people migrate from to come to Iceland?
Like all over the world.
All
like
over
a lot of Europe.
Okay.
But it's pretty hard it was very hard, and now it's like a little bit less hard, but still hard to come and live in Iceland.
Mm-hmm.
You have to like meet like certain criterias, and you have to be like a specialist that can't be found in Iceland to get a job as a specialist,
Okay.
So I mean, it's pretty shitty, but I mean, most people can come study here at least.
Okay.
But there are also like some companies, like building companies and stuff that do just bring workers from different countries to Iceland.
Yeah, but a lot of this is coded in trafficking, Like the tourism industry, it's a lot of trafficking, and the building industry is a lot of trafficking.
What are they building? Just infrastructure?
Hotels mostly.
Gotcha.
They just do it to cut costs because the people that are coming here don't necessarily know their worker rights.
Oh
and,
yeah, not
and
at all.
sometimes, you know, there have been cases where their passports have been taken away.
Yeah. But people are only concerned with the sex industry.
Right. And they're not concerned with like, and I'm wondering like who's taking their passports away? Is it the corporations that are in charge of building these structures?
Yeah.
A lot of the time in Iceland, it's not really a corporation. It's just like two guys.
Okay.
Like a corporation, a company is like two guys. Maybe they hire a third person to like deal with the trafficking.
Okay,
you know?
So it's like these guys overseeing the building of a structure, like the construction of a building, and then their other job is to traffic workers who they're stealing their passports and not really paying them. Is that am I gathering? Okay.
There's been a problem with this in Iceland. Like it went in the news a little bit. But we have this genius thing in Iceland where a company can just declare bankruptcy and get a new like ID number for a new company and keep doing the same thing. So that's kind of what happened, and no accountability takes place.
Yeah, I guess it's not terribly surprising because there's just so few people there, and there's so, you know, it's almost like the government may be more empowered to get away with more because there's fewer people
and also just
to figure it out.
Companies are more empowered to get away with everything.
Right. Because there's no overseeing, like there's no policy, there's no.
I mean, there is policy, but I think it just depends on how much you want to follow it and who's your friend.
Right. And that's the other reason for it being smaller. It's easier to make friends in high places and get away with all this shit. That's what it sounds like.
That's very much the Icelandic way. We make friends with someone. We're like, you went to school with this guy and he'll sort it out.
That makes so much sense. I mean, I don't like it, but it makes so much sense because when your network is smaller, it's easier to maintain and get what you want.
Sorry, it's really no surprise like how much corruption is in Iceland. Like there's like in government everywhere. Yeah, it's everywhere.
It's here too. It's ridiculous how much corruption there is here. It's absolutely ridiculous, but it's almost more frustrating for me to see it happening with you all when it's almost like, you know, there's a real opportunity to do something good in the world with a smaller population, you know. And I guess I'm just like a little disappointed that a country that has the opportunity and like quite honestly the means, like the tourism that has increased in that country, I've watched it with my own eyes happen, and I know that more money has been, you know, put into the country through tourism. And so that
we're like a super rich country.
Absolutely. I've heard how expensive fish is to eat there. I've heard, you know, so like, yeah.
Even when you go to the cheap supermarket, it's still expensive.
Yeah, and that must have been something that's impacted all of you in your daily lives, right? With more tourism, inflation happened in your country, and things that you normally were buying have all gone up in price, right? Is that what happened?
Yes.
Yeah. And now like one of the biggest unions is having a drama.
Yeah.
One of the biggest unions is always having a drama.
Is it the worker union? Is that what you're talking about?
Yeah.
Okay. Tell me more.
Well, I mean, we have like different types of unions. Iceland is, I think, the most unionized country in the world. It's kind of mandatory to join a union, but there's like different kinds for different like jobs.
Yeah. And they're having drama too.
Sorry?
They're having drama.
Yeah. Yeah, and they handle a lot of immigrants and people that work minimum wage jobs. So.
Yeah, and their sort of like leader has stated many times that sex workers shouldn't sex work isn't work and it's disgusting for them to think about joining a union.
You are up against a lot out there.
But I mean, we've also, sorry, what did you say?
I was about to say, but you seem so enthusiastic and happy about what you're doing, and you're so positive. We've had wins and it's great and it's going well. And I'm happy, so happy to hear that. And like, I'm inspired by you because you literally have so much stacked against you, but you're still like, yeah, we're winning. And that's great. And I want to know more about, like, in the future, I want to see more of that. And I want to follow what you're doing. What were you going to say?
Come back, like, to give you an update when we've decriminalized.
I would love that. I would love that.
But I mean, I really do believe that we can do it.
I do too.
Like, I think we can even do it in my lifetime, you know? I don't, you know, I don't know, amazing. But we're very hopeful because I mean, since 2020, when I mean, everyone went inside because of COVID and a lot of people joined OnlyFans, we've just been having this ongoing discussion. We call it the OnlyFans bomb that happened in our culture because suddenly everyone was talking about OnlyFans and people were on it and they weren't ashamed of it. And that was like new and weird and really interesting for the media. So the media really grabbed onto it and people want to talk to us. They want to talk about what we're doing, and there's a lot of like vibes of like I've been stopped like when I'm outside and people have told me like, oh, hey, I saw you on the TV, that makes so much sense, like I really agree with you and I never thought about it.
Awesome. That's really cool.
I did one drawing class with this teacher, and when I was 18, and I'm 23 now, and I just met her like this summer at a graduation party for my friend, and she came up to me and she was like, hey, do you remember me? I just want to tell you that like what you're doing is very cool and like good for you. And I was just like, wow, that's like, I'm surprised she remembers me. But yeah,
it must feel good. Yeah.
So like just seeing this changing tide, I don't know, it gave us some wind beneath our wings, you know? And a lot of hope, because in a lot of countries, swerves have already, like, this kind of thing has already happened. Like, the swerves already are leading the media and all of this, but people, like, just didn't talk about it before we started talking about it. It just wasn't spoken of. So there isn't really that kind of propaganda that has been put out there yet. Because it's so stigmatizing. Just like everyone was scared to talk about it, but now it's like people are, like it's becoming less scary.
That's great. That's really awesome. Before
sorry.
No, you go ahead.
Oh, like, we're getting like invitations, and like we've had like politicians reach out to us that want to talk to us.
That's great news.
And that's really exciting.
That is exciting.
So
that's awesome.
It's just making it happen. That's hard.
Well, how long have you been at it now? How long has this been your work?
I mean, so we started in 2016, but then we kind of didn't really get very active until 2020 when the OnlyFans explosion happened.
Sure. Yeah. Okay. So that's awesome. Before we move on to like the tips segment, is there anything that you feel like we haven't talked about or that's important to mention that you're working on, or that you did we miss anything basically?
Maybe like a little bit more about what we do. So like we've had like social meetups.
Okay.
So we have the educational things, we have the like lobbying for Decrim, then we have the like socials, because to just help build the community, and then we do a lot of fundraising, and people are really into, like, Iceland is quite a big sort of like fundraising, like there's a lot of giving of money, It's kind of like part of the culture, it seems to be.
That's awesome.
And so we do a lot of fundraising, and every time we fundraised, we get a lot of money, you know. And we do fundraising so for workers specifically. So someone will contact us and be like, "Hey, I'm a sex worker. I have no money. I need to get food and like pay for medicine," and so we just fundraise.
Yeah. Do you think that during the winter months that tends to happen more because it's harder to get around with the weather?
I guess so. Like, we haven't really had much requests in this summer.
Yeah.
It was more in the winter, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I hadn't noticed that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it gets a lot harder. It gets harder to do everything in winter.
Totally. I recall how hard it was. We would just go out and sled. That's pretty much all we could do.
Exactly.
Yeah, we used to build snow tunnels because the snow was so deep that we used to make like just like all kinds of tunnels that would like go through stuff, and like, yeah, it was really fun. I think I have pictures of that somewhere. Yeah.
This is like the kind of thing I used to do too when I was a kid.
Yeah.
Build snow houses and stuff.
Wow. I'm just so impressed. I'm so excited for what you're doing out there. I can't wait for people to hear all about this, because I had no idea what was going on regarding this in Iceland.
Happening.
Yeah.
Want to be fabulous just like these strippers? Pay attention. It's Stripper Tips.
I have one, and that is like, no matter if you have beef with another sex worker or whatever, if you don't get along with someone, it doesn't matter as long as we just stay together in like when something goes wrong.
Yeah, like in the fight, you know, the solidarity in the fight.
Like, as long as we have solidarity when something happens or like someone needs help, then all that like doesn't matter, and we need to be able to come together no matter what, because it's a small community, so there's bound to be some, ruffling of feathers, but
when it comes down to it, we need to stand together.
When something important is like in front of us, then we do stand together and help each other.
I love that. Thank you. I agree. Yeah.
I have a very like my tip is not this like activisty. My tip is just like, wherever you have your space. So if it's like your locker, if it's like your locker in the strip club or your locker in the brothel, or your your space where you take clients, like customize it, make it yours. I didn't realize that I could do this until I'd been working for like a few months. Then I was like, oh wait, I can bring some pillows from home, and I can bring like all of this stuff, and make it cute. And I felt so much better. Like I felt like I was me, and I could have that little bit of me, and I think that's a good tip. That's nice.
I love that. That's very nice. Thank you. Do you want to let everyone know how to find you and follow you and to learn more about all of the amazing work that you're doing?
Yes. So our Instagram is
it's in Icelandic.
It's in Icelandic. It's gonna be hard to spell it.
Maybe show it on the screen or something.
Okay.
Not in the messages.
No, not the messages.
Yeah, you can try to spell it. Let's see. It's a little Rauda Regniflifin. Okay,
Yes.
Rauda. Let's do, I think if people type in the first part, RAUDA.R.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I think if people type that in, you're going to find it. So one more time, that's RAUDA.R is the beginning part of your Instagram handle. And then
we can send you the link if you want.
Yeah. We're going to tag you on Instagram and everything as well. So I highly encourage our listeners to look for the tag on our Instagram to find Red Umbrella Iceland.
I think our Facebook page is also linked to our Instagram. if I'm not-
Yeah.
So
Okay.
like if you and we have both Red Umbrella Iceland and
Mhm.
Arkiven in
Okay.
the Facebook.
And
Yeah,
people-
so you can, if you type in Red Umbrella Iceland, you should get our page on Facebook.
Okay, perfect. And then you have a website link in your Instagram profile, right?
Mhm.
Okay.
Yeah, that's an
Perfect.
article that we did for like a feminist kind of like zine or like magazine, like feminist publisher kind of thing.
Nice.
Yeah.
Yeah. And also for our audience, there's an option to translate the website to English.
Yes.
I browse everything on Google Chrome, and Google Chrome makes it very easy to switch your language. So just a little tip for our listeners out there.
Yeah,
Wow.
because we do a lot mostly in Icelandic because it's our
Yes.
audience.
That makes sense. That makes absolute sense. I feel like I've learned so much today. I hope our audiences, I know that they have to have learned some new stuff today. So I'm so grateful to you for reaching out to us to want to do a show with us and for sharing your time and your experiences and your work with us. It's been so incredible getting to know you. Thank you.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you for having us. We're super excited to be.
I was super excited too, very much. Thank you. Thank you to all of our audience listeners out there for tuning in. And please don't forget to donate to YAS, a Stripper Podcast at paypal.me/YAS, a Stripper Podcast. Bye, everyone.
Bye.
Thank you for absorbing this episode of YAS, a Stripper Podcast. We love your listening. YAS, a Stripper Podcast is produced by Period Podcast Network. Please like, rate, and subscribe to our podcast, and please consider donating to help keep this podcast alive. Send your love to paypal.me/YAS, a Stripper Podcast.